Have you ever wondered whether what you're feeling is just introversion or if it's actually something deeper, like social anxiety? A lot of people confuse the two, because on the surface, they can look similar. Both introverts and people with social anxiety might prefer smaller gatherings, feel uncomfortable in large crowds, or avoid certain social events. But the truth is, these two experiences are very different. Introversion is simply a personality trait, where someone feels more energized by time alone, rather than time spent in groups. Social anxiety, on the other hand, is rooted in fear. Fear of being judged, embarrassed, or humiliated in social situations. It's not just about being quiet or private. It's about battling constant worry and tension whenever you interact with others. Today, we're going to explore 10 clear signs that what you may be experiencing is social anxiety and not just introversion. By recognizing these signs, you'll gain clarity, and with clarity comes the power to address what's really going on. The first sign that it's social anxiety and not introversion is you avoid social situations out of fear, not preference. Introverts often skip parties or large gatherings because they simply don't find them enjoyable or energizing. They'd rather stay home with a book or hang out one-on-one with a close friend, and that's perfectly normal for them. But if you find yourself declining invitations because you're terrified of embarrassing yourself, or you're worried about being judged the moment you walk in, that points to social anxiety. It's not that you don't want to go, it's that the thought of going fills you with dread. The avoidance comes from anxiety, not choice. And afterward, instead of feeling satisfied with your decision, you're often left with guilt and self-criticism for not being able to handle it. That cycle of fear and regret is a big indicator that it's anxiety at play, not introversion. The second sign is you overthink every interaction long after it's over. Introverts may feel drained after talking to people, but once the conversation ends, they usually move on. For someone with social anxiety, it's not that simple. Hours after leaving a social event, your mind might replay everything you said, analyzing it for mistakes. Did you sound awkward? Did you offend someone without realizing it? Did people notice your nervousness? This rumination can keep you up at night, making you relive situations that others have already forgotten about. It's like carrying a magnifying glass that focuses only on your perceived flaws. That level of overthinking goes far beyond introversion and points towards social anxiety. The third sign is physical symptoms show up in social settings. Social anxiety doesn't just live in your head, it shows up in your body. Maybe your heart races when you're about to speak in a group. Maybe your palms get sweaty, your voice shakes, or your face turns red when attention is on you. These physical responses are part of the body's fight or flight reaction, triggered by the fear of social judgment. Introverts, on the other hand, may feel uncomfortable or overstimulated in social situations, but they don't usually experience the same intense physical panic symptoms. If your body reacts as if you're in danger every time you have to interact with others, it's a strong sign that you're dealing with social anxiety. The fourth sign is you constantly fear being judged or humiliated. This fear is at the heart of social anxiety. You might avoid raising your hand in class not because you don't know the answer, but because you're terrified of saying something wrong and being laughed at. You might avoid eating in public because you're worried people are watching how you chew. You might hesitate to post on social media because you think everyone will criticize you. This constant anticipation of judgment separates social anxiety from introversion. Introverts may not seek the spotlight, but they don't necessarily live with this intense fear of ridicule. The fifth sign is small. Everyday tasks feel like enormous challenges when others are watching. For someone with social anxiety, ordering food at a restaurant, making a phone call, or even walking into a room full of people can feel overwhelming. The thought of being observed turns simple activities into major sources of stress. Introverts may dislike small talk or may prefer solitude, but they can usually manage these daily interactions without extreme distress. If you find yourself panicking about the most basic tasks whenever people are around, it's not just introversion, it's anxiety interfering with your daily life. The sixth sign is you desperately want connection, but feel trapped by fear. Many people with social anxiety crave friendships, relationships, and belonging just as much as anyone else. The difference is that their fear of judgment or rejection holds them back from reaching out. You might daydream about having close friends or joining in on activities, but when the opportunity arises, the anxiety is so strong that you retreat instead. This creates a painful cycle. You want connection, but your fear of social interaction keeps you isolated. Introverts, on the other hand, may prefer fewer social connections, but they're usually content with the ones they have. They don't feel tormented by the desire for social interaction while being paralyzed by fear. The seventh sign is your anxiety starts before the social event even happens. With social anxiety, the worry begins long before you even set foot in the situation. If you're invited to a gathering next week, you might already be stressing over it today. What will you wear? What if you don't know what to say? What if you embarrass yourself? This anticipatory anxiety can sometimes be worse than the event itself. Introverts may not look forward to large gatherings, but they don't usually spend days or weeks obsessing over them. If your mind jumps into overdrive with dread every time you're faced with an upcoming social situation, that's a strong indicator of social anxiety. The eighth sign is you often feel invisible or ignored, but at the same time, you're terrified of being noticed. This paradox is unique to social anxiety. On one hand, you might feel upset when people don't pay attention to you, or when you're excluded from conversations. On the other hand, the idea of being the center of attention feels unbearable. This inner conflict leaves you stuck. You want to connect and be seen, but the fear of scrutiny keeps you quiet and withdrawn. Introverts usually don't struggle with this same push and pull. They're often comfortable with not being in the spotlight, and don't feel the same emotional tug-of-war about it. The ninth sign is your self-worth is tied to how you think others perceive you. People with social anxiety often evaluate themselves based on imagined judgments from others. If someone laughs nearby, you immediately assume it's about you. If a friend doesn't respond to your message right away, you panic that you've done something wrong. If someone looks serious, you interpret it as disapproval. Your sense of value rises and falls depending on how you think you're being seen. Introverts don't typically carry this constant fear of negative evaluation. They may be private, but they don't live with the same fragile relationship between self-esteem and others' opinions. The 10th and final sign is social anxiety significantly interferes with your life, while introversion does not. Being introverted might mean you prefer staying home on a Friday night or that you need time alone after socializing. But it doesn't stop you from living the life you want. Social anxiety, however, can close doors. It can keep you from pursuing job opportunities, forming relationships, or speaking up when it matters. If your fears are holding you back from experiences you genuinely want, that's a clear sign it's not just introversion. It's anxiety standing in the way of your growth and fulfillment. When you put all these signs together, avoiding situations out of fear, overthinking interactions, experiencing physical symptoms, fearing judgment, struggling with everyday tasks, desiring connection but feeling paralyzed, anticipating anxiety before events, feeling invisible yet terrified of attention, tying self-worth to others' opinions, and having your life restricted, you can clearly see the difference between introversion and social anxiety. Introversion is about preference, while social anxiety is about fear. Introversion is a personality trait that shapes how you recharge and engage with the world. Social anxiety is a condition that causes distress, avoidance, and self-doubt. If you've recognized yourself in these signs, know that you're not alone and you're not broken. Social anxiety is something many people struggle with, and it's something that can be managed and improved. The first step is understanding the difference between being introverted and being anxious, and you've already taken that step by listening to this. With the right tools, self-awareness, and support, you can begin to quiet the fear and step into social situations with more confidence. You don't have to let anxiety define you, and you don't have to miss out on the connections and experiences you crave. Because deep down, you're not just someone hiding away, you're someone with the potential to shine once the fear loses its grip.